Hey people, I'm down here in South Mississippi, and we haven't had any rain in many months. It was dry down here, and a couple of days ago it started to rain. And so I got up in the morning and walked out to the front door, and here's this turtle out here, and he was asking me to feed him. And so I looked up in the fridge in the cupboard. I couldn't find anything to feed a turtle, but I found this old can of salsa. It's been in the fridge at least 2 months. Had some mold growing on it. And I'm Epicurious. I would have ate it. I'd have wiped the mold off. But I fed it to him. I wasn't real sure, and he ate about half of it and walked away. And so 2 days later this morning I go out and the turtle's come back. He's in the same place. He's waiting for me to feed him again. So I found him a piece of bread. I didn't have anything else for him. So the old turtle, he's Epicurious too. So all my life I thought I was atheist because I didn't believe this picture that the Christians were trying to paint of God. It didn't make any sense to me. But now that I've figured it out, God talks to me all the time. And this morning it was in the form of a Epicurious turtle. I was wondering would his asshole burn, but he came back for more 2 days later, and he didn't like the bread as much as he did the salsa. But Epicurious is curious about food, and Epicurious was in the Garden of Eden. It comes from the Epicurean, a follower of Epicureanism. And so Epicurious is the ancient Greek philosopher that was in the Garden of Eden. Epicureanism is a form of Edenism, insofar it declares pleasure to be its sole intrinsic goal. And Edenism is where you get your word heathen from. The D and the TH interchange. The heathenism is in this belief that people should pursue pleasure and avoid pain. In everyday language, the term pleasure is primarily associated with the sensory pleasures like the enjoyment of food and sex. The heathenism. And these are 2 huge pages here on Wikipedia. And I just wanted to get these definitions because these are all words that are found in Genesis 3, where it more says that God drove Eden out of Adam. He didn't drive Adam out of Eden. And you see a piece of it right here. And Epicurious, adios. Goodbye to the Epicurious, to tasting everything, to 2 of peyote effigies. Adios to the peyote effigies. So this is where your word Jesus comes from, Jesas. And it's effigies as. And an effigy is a sculpture or model of a person. And if you hit images, it looks like a scarecrow, the effigy. And a peyote effigy looks like this. It's an ancient Indian symbol. And it's a bird. It's the water bird. And you can see the water bird here on top of the peyote button. So they got this story totally screwed up, and this is not the serpent. You see on the top of the page, and oh, the appease. And so they've got us thinking that this Q is the one that pronounced is the Q or F, but it's not. This is the P, and it's the P that's pronounced as the F. But oh, the appease. This is appease as the bull. He was the bull that the gods left here when they left and told us to appease, make him happy, or appease. And the serpent's down here. And so all the effigies that carry the epithages, which is an adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality, characteristic of a person or thing mentioned. So all these effigies, they had epithages, they had meaning. So when you saw 4 letters, you know that there's a lot more meaning to those 4 letters. There's pages of meaning that goes with this. And so the serpent doesn't come up here to the end of line 3 when you will die, nor touch it that you should not die. And so this is a pod. A pod is a foot, and an apod is no feet, and no feet on it. A pod on it, no feet on it. That's the serpent. The apod is an animal without feet, a member of one of several groups called the apoda. And so the epithagion was written by, upon the sedges. And the sedges is the writers. And this is the symbol of the writers. They carried the 2 colors of ink. They carried the red, the atom, the old, and the black, the new. And you see the sedge here with their name. And you see the sedge with kings and writers. It means somebody with the knowledge of writing. It's a sedge is papyrus. It's where paper comes from. So you see any off in the Hebrew Bible, and when it says any, it says I am. It means, the one that's writing. This is the symbol of any. He was the god of writers. And so the fruit that she ate was the page. But when they ate, more than one is the pagan. And the pagans tend to be earth conscious. And some pagans believed in a multiplicity of gods and goddesses. And others see them as merely names of forms that allow us easier contact with the divine. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. That's the story of pagan. All words are God. And so the woman that was in the garden was June, or Juna. And that's the Roman equivalent to Hera, queen of the gods, daughter of Saturn, and sister wife of Jupiter, and mother of Mars and Vulcan, the fire god, and the blacksmith and god of the masons. And as Hera, she was queen of the gods and goddess of marriage, women, and marital harmony, protector of women during childbirth. And so in Egypt, that would be goddess of childbirth and fertility was Toret, which is a mispronunciation of TA2 and WRR, to worry it. The one that does the worrying, to worry it. And she had this assistant, the bass, which would be represented like this. And the word bass just means the relief. This is a relief when they carve out everything beside and leave the image setting up front higher. And this is called a relief. And so Toret bass would be to worry relief. And so all the trees, in the paradises, there is no paradise. That was for aid is of. Aid being the same place you get your word band-aid. It's a band to help heal, a band-aid. And for to help heal is of, is what all these trees in the garden were doing. And so what was really going on in the garden, nor touch it that you should die, is how them obsessed, AFSCSTE, and how them obsessed of to why, of who name the serpent, a pod on it, no feet on it. What to call a name, what to call the serpent. And so the serpent was feminine. You see it in the last part of this, comes from Egypt, the et, the feminine counterpart. And why you would need to know the name is to call them on, come here, a pagette, the feminine page. When you page somebody, it helps to know their name. To come here, a pagette. That's why you want to know the name. But the names were sacred. If you give somebody your name, you gave them power over you. And you can see, the feminine, the et on the end, the name would be the same, and finish with the et, the et. So these were the first 8 of creation, and the feminine was the serpent, was the et. And they never give you the name. And so they'll call these the 8 gods of creation, but they're leaving out the most important part. It's the creation of writing. And so these names were used in stories, and they were true stories. It says it right here, in true, NTRU, 3 flag. 1 flag is a NTR or a NDR, and so 3 of them you add a U in true. So when you told a story it was true, you just had to figure it out. This is a many. The little mark up here is a MN. The second N makes an E, knee, and a many. And this is a net. And so if you was having a party and only the 2 of them showed up, you could say, oh, at my party was a many on it. And this is HH, 2 H's and a UR, and NTR or NDR. It's where you word enter. You see this on the headquarters building. On the map, this is where the headquarters marked. This is where to enter. This is where to start. And it could be NDR, it could be used as under. And so this is the catcher enter, the catch where enter. And you see this egg's a little different here. And I believe this is the OVE, ova. And it's of it now. And it's the catch where of it. And so as you told the story, these were gods of actions. And so this is new up here. The pot is an N and 3 of them is a new. And this is a pot, PT, FT. And then 3 N's here becomes the mu. And so this is nupt, N-U-P-T, nupt. And that's your Hebrew Bible. That's where your word prenuptial comes. And thou shalt not commit adultery, the nupt. And this is nupt new, or nupt mu. 3 N's becomes a mu. And then an N, so it's together it's nupt, to marry the moon. And then the T-P-T, and topped of it. So by herself, her name is just in topped of it. And then this is 2 K's, a kick, and the PT, and the kick put. And so this symbol here, this 5-pointed star, it's not a star. It's an asshole, and it means subdue. Same as that book of Habakkuk, And if you win the fight, not till they subdue, and you're taking the ass. And so, the Greeks going to call it the old ass trick. Oh, the old ass trick there. Subdue. And kick, put, subdue, assure. This is the one I say is assure from where I read it much. And kick, put, subdue, assure, and kicked, put, subdue of it. So this would be the verb, and this would be the direct object, I believe. The of it. So the serpent's names would be kicked, put, subdue of it, in top it at, and a net, to catch where, the catch where of it. So at the top of this, this was written for men smarter than me. I can read it, just takes me a little longer time. But this is of thee, the ode, the song to thee. And of thee appease and pronomatatos. And so appease doesn't mean a serpent, and it doesn't mean the bull. It means the epithages of the effigies of appease. And so appease represents, appease is the word we use for today, make happy. And so the pronomatatos, the tatos, those type, that's like in the Hebrew, the ears, the buccaneers, mouseketeers, or the bullshitteers, tiers, levels of bullshit, that type. And the motatos are that type that's most. And the prone is most likely. And the pronomatatos is those that are most likely prone to of the appeasing. And so of the appeasing and pronomatatos are the people that are most likely to you're trying to appease. So it depends on who you are and your age, But you're most likely to try to appease the women, the girls, the wife, or the hedonist, that only what pleasures. And this reads the font haunting theory on ton. The font haunting theory on ton. And so the font, is its representation marks, and haunt, what haunts it, what represents it, the font haunt. And you could also read that as the font on ton, to fashion, the one that fashions that font. And of the appease and pronomatados, font haunting, the theory on to ton, to fashion epithages on effigies that carry as adios, it's time to go. And they pen, they pen, they write, and they write of appeaseth, to go naked, yachty. And so to go naked is what I'm reading right here. It's right up front. Everything to go naked, and not having to know the secrets of when to read backwards. Jati. A jati is a little bitty mark. It's come from an iota, the I, the smallest letter, and jati. And to go naked, jati, they pen adios of them, the pagette, the page, and feminine, the pagette. And so what this says is go naked. It means to not cover up the iota, the smallest mark of the hyphen, adios, to go, and of meh is not much, and adios of meh, of not much, page it. And that's what I was telling you, they put these marks in these words, and so it reads more than one time. So it would take, 3 times as much paper to write this if you didn't use the marks and the iotas and the hyphens that gave other reading directions and left other clues in there for a bigger message. And a po, and away the fontos, the font as its will out. It's the font, the writings of its will out of. To out him, to point him out. He's the one, and its will out of. For aid is of, and make known the writings of the medicine. So that's what it's doing here. It's going to teach you how to read the markings and how to get the medicine out of it. And hyphenage, the HG, the EG, and the hyphenage when hap of a carpo. Carpo is twist or a wrist, and it's that kind of fruit, the queer kind of fruit, the carpo. The carpo, a singular of carpos, a wrist. And it became fruit as you was hollering at the laborers when they were picking your apples. And hey, carpo, use your wrist. Give it a twist with your wrist. But Carpo is also a moon, satellite of Jupiter. Juno, the sister and wife of Jupiter. And so there's more fruit hidden in the writings when you read it with the twist. And hyphenage when hap of twist. To carp out of, to twist out of. Its will out of, for aid is of. The page omit. It left that page out. And so mit, is with, and omit is taken out, not with. And the page omit. And the apode it of, the carp, the twist out of. And so apode, the footless creature, the pode it of, the twist out of, the serpent, from the fruit of thee. of the tree. The serpent is the fruit of the tree. The abode of carp out of. Zoo love. Zoo are little bee animals, all the little animals. Zoo is the mother of all life, the life, love of. And this looks like Estin, but with this E here, it's reading the estive and life, love of estive, where your word festive comes from. And the estive in the mest of. And that's coming from the word miso. That's a bean. The bean, the mest of. For aid is of hyphen audios. Of pages the a pod of. And so this hyphen is right here. Not all these little ones over here, but this hyphen right here. And you don't see it here, but it's in the Septuagint. But it makes this read as pa and paw, and of two. So here it's just reading the paw too. And that's meaning the fruit of the paw, to eat not from it the paw. And of deem, of cest, of two who name a pod on it, the serpent, and of deem, when you redeem, to trade something in for value. And so they want the name so they can call upon the serpent, trying to get the serpent's name. But the serpent's name was right there, Apep. And you see it here in the Septuagint with these marks telling you to read that as a pop. And then this mark telling you to read this, the paw, a pawpaw, and then back again of two. And so the name of the serpent was up here. It's a pawpaw. And in Egypt, they were reading that as Apep. And so this is the medicine that will open your eyes. And I think I got most of these definitions out the way, and we ought to be able to run through this in the next movie pretty quick. So, in ton Adam, in the fashion of Adam, I aver turtle Epicurious, and I call my turtle Epicurious. And that doesn't mean, said the Lord. That means ain't scared to lick it. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.